All right, thanks for joining. This is the architecture review meeting for fulfillment. This is session one, and today is May 1st, 2024. And today we have a topic that we actually discussed a few weeks back about introducing bounded context for CustomersDot. And Bitterly has been um, graciously leading this one and actually added a proposal a day or two ago, a way that we can like kick this off. And I encouraged him to bring it here so we can discuss it. Um, Billy, if you want to give like a quick intro, I linked to the proposal itself. I don't know if folks had a chance to take a look, but yeah, maybe give it like a 30-second intro or something, and then we can see where the discussion takes us.
Yes, hello everyone, and may the fourth be with you. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. So this is like an initial proposal to our restructure of Ruby models, services in particular. The main goal is to not align them per each team that we have, like provision, purchase, utilization, and platform. Because like it was mentioned during one of the previous meetings, if we decide to change any team's names to something else, we are going to like apply the same changes to our code, which is not good. So the idea here is to have something neutral, but also that corresponds to the code that this model has inside of it. I started like doing really simple. I took actually our team names and transformed them into verbs like provisioning, purchasing, marketing, licensing, payments, and billing. Billing is not a verb, but still. And then I just went through our app services folder. Like this is like what we have right now. Yeah, quite a lot. Then I tried to group all these services into corresponding domains, and the easiest one, of course, was Salesforce. I just put it into a marketing domain. Like you can see here, I took all the Salesforce services and put them under the Salesforce folder. When I switched to the billing domain, so I took like a bunch of services like billing account contacts, create order service, and so on, and put them under the billing folder. And I went through each of the proposed context and tried to see how we can like structure to give you idea what could we receive in the end. You can see here we like do it for the reconciliation. Then I've also tried to think how we can group like our auto renew, self-service, subscriptions, and temporary extensions services that we have in the root. Probably the subscriptions domain sounds not that nice, but still we could create something different. And yeah, that's basically it. This is just like some intro to ensure that we can at least start discussing it and eventually come up to a list of models or domains that we can group our services first into, and then we can do like probably do the same with like models and so on.
Yeah, thanks for that. I like the breakdown that we have. The first thing that I noticed, well, other than the fact that we have a lot of services, so the final result that you have, kind of like that last grouping, so it's not everything that's getting put into these buckets to begin with, right? I guess you've just picked a subset of them that makes sense to start with, and we'll eventually move the other ones um, at some point in the future. Is that what you were thinking?
Yes, exactly. And regarding your good point that we probably have too many services, I also think I wrote it here that um, yeah, here that I personally don't like the service object pattern that we have because we might say that everything can be a service actually.
Yeah, that's a
But
good point.
yeah, I also added that this is completely different idea. So we can just start by grouping our services first and then see how it goes and identify our next steps.
Yeah, I like that. Just getting these into the buckets to help with context, I think helps a lot. And it will help identify maybe some of these services that are crossing these domains. Like if they're touching more than one, if we're having a hard time putting them into a bucket, then it's probably a good indication it's doing too much.
Yeah, the whole idea, like one of the pros that we could receive after we introduce about in context is that we can notice our code duplication, our services duplication. We can eliminate that. Additionally, we see when a single particular service does too much across different domains and contexts, and that service should be split into like smaller services to ensure that a single service does just one thing to ensure we can actually control it. We can open if it's required. We can easily test it. We can do anything we want without breaking any functionality in our application. And it also helps with onboarding actually to our team members when they have to work with a new code because they can look, okay, if I need to like do something with a subscription, let's say extend it, renew it, uh, having a clearly established boundaries or domains helps because that you go to like the subscriptions model, you find the particular object that you need and you just call it.
So one thing, like I don't know how far, down into the weeds we want to go here of like picking out, oh, this service could go into this bucket. Like for instance, Marketo might fit into marketing. Like there are not that many, but um, one thing I was curious about if we wanted to discuss here is some of the ones that um, they may not easily fit into the six that we've identified. Like maybe some of them that are more platform related. So like something like the ones that are in the GitLab domain right now, like do we want to consider that its own domain? Like anything that interfaces with GitLab, um, I don't think it really fits clearly into one of the six that we've identified, but maybe GitLab itself is its own domain, but it doesn't really fit nicely into the other ones. I like the other ones that you proposed, so yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's where our journey actually begins because it's really hard to identify to like quickly identify all possible domains and contexts that we might have in our application.
Yeah.
So it all like wraps around our discussions around the context because different teams work on different contexts and their own domains, and probably they have a better naming. So that's why it would be good to involve as many team members as we can to ensure that once we have this list or three probably, and everyone who sees this list or three clearly get the point. yeah, I know what we're talking about, and additional outcome will be that we can like align this tree to our business language and use these domain names in our like meetings, discussions, issues. And when we say that, hey, we probably want to call like to modify one of the domains, like to grant additional power to it. And by using the domain name, we clearly know which part of application we want to change or want to touch.
So in the spirit of, hey, where do we put these? Looking at the difference between the payments domain and the billing domain, and kind of reiterating the point that you made in the document of, well, what do we do with reconciliations? Uh, do we want to expand the scope of the billing domain beyond just, no, this is orders and only orders? I'm not sure that reconciliations really fit in payments. Reconciliation is something we get paid for, but I'm not sure that payments is the driving domain for reconciliations, if that makes sense. So I agree it's tricky. I'm just not convinced that this is the way to solve that trickiness.
Yeah, that's a good point that I also like stumble upon. Like, yeah, let's start with reconciliation, and reconciliation is usually part of finance or billing or ordering business logic. But we don't have such domains except for the billing, and the billing domain is usually pretty narrow to order and anything related to it. But on the other hand, we don't want to make this domain very huge, so probably we could fit that into the payments domain. But of course, this is like an open discussion. If we feel like that our particular reconciliation logic is tied more like even to its own domain, that's like we could like extract reconciliation into its domain and just put this domain into another domain. It's fine to have nested domains.
Would it be reasonable then to split it into billing order and billing reconciliation?
Yeah, here we go. This is what I mean. Now we talking in a business language. Yeah, we don't have like a simple order. We have a billing order. We could have like a shipment order or shipping order or something, and that's our end goal. To like to introduce required business terms to ensure that once we do a feature development or feature changing or whatever, by using the ubiquitous language that I think I mentioned in the issue description, we all know what we're talking about and what we mean. So, yeah, this post here is just a starting point. It's like could be like at the end, we completely remove these 6 domains and then introduce like 6 other domains with a completely different naming.
I really like where you're going with this. I think naming is always really, really hard. Some of my initial thoughts here, similar to what Isabel mentioned, I think I'd probably, and these are just some suggestions. I'd probably say we should combine billing and payments into billing, or possibly even call it subscription, since it's probably going to be owned by the subscription management team. I would combine provisioning and licensing into provision. And then I think of marketing as Marketo and not Salesforce. And I think of Salesforce as sales. So I think the end result is really similar to what you started with, which is that we have domains that are really close to our team names, which is like provision, subscription, utilization, marketing, and sales. Yeah, I'd probably try to stick as close to our team names as possible. But then at some point, it's not gonna work because you're gonna have shared services or shared domains, if you will. But I would start with maybe like, what does one team really own, and spend, if they own like 90% of it, then just maybe name it after the team, and then solve for the other ones. I'm not sure if that's the smartest approach, but I think naturally the closer your org chart and your applications services are aligned, I think that's just that aligns us better towards what's that thing I'm looking for? Someone's law of some sort, where your org chart matches your basically
Conway's law.
Conway's law. Yes, thank you. Yeah, where your org chart matches almost the different services that you have.
Thank you, Vitaly, for this presentation. This reminds me a lot of when we added the feature category attributes in the controllers. It reminds me a lot of that type of exercise. And so we added the like a while ago the feature category attributes in the controllers so that we would have like that categorization of data in Grafana, Prometheus Grafana. And that reminds me like that has the same feel, that has the same this exercise here had like the same same feel. Yeah, we can just I think we just need to keep in mind like the very iterative approach to this exercise. It's just we feel like based on what I'm hearing from Isabel and Jerome, I feel like we're trying to have like a plan and answers for like many categorization like right now. And based on my experience on the feature category and its implementation in controllers, it was very much like we're having this categorization now, and then we're fine-tuning, and then some controllers are going over to another team tag and so on. And there was like a lot of fine-tuning over time. And I would expect the same with this exercise here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because initially I tried to apply like by grouping to the whole application, and it was like problematic at the start, like to group the whole application into like not like group up, like pack our application into different domains. So like on the fifth iteration or so, I decided like that probably we should just narrow our scope just to the services folder as the starting point, unless we like till the point when we have the solid categorization of our domains, like when we have this list of domains that we're pretty much comfortable with. And then we can start expanding the same knowledge to other parts of our application. But I think we're not going to touch like the whole application, probably like just like models and the services folder, or probably like jobs or something.
You talked a little bit about analysis of cross-domain interactions. Do we have any tooling for kind of quickly and easily visualizing cross-domain calls, or is that going to be a matter of someone has to go and do a bit of manual analysis every time we want to answer that question? So I imagine that would be a useful metric to say, okay, we're proposing this. What's the actual cross-domain calls? Okay, cool. This is a clear entry point into the billing domain. Everything goes through one service and then it spiders out internally. Okay, that's a good structure. Or, oh, hey, look, licensing and provision are well enmeshed and there's lots of cross-domain calls. Okay, maybe that's the problem. Is that an easy analysis to do, or is that going to be something that's going to take effort and we'll have to be a little bit more judicious when we decide to do that?
My guess is that it would be pretty tedious at this point to do it, but once we start introducing some of these domains, it might be a much easier exercise. Once we basically have done the categorization, we might be able to script something.
I was just wondering if we'd already done it, so we would at least have tooling. So we go, oh, we're proposing this. Well, how does that actually shake out? Okay, yeah, that looks good. Or, oh, those categories don't go together because there's this crosstalk. Oh, well, what if we, merge them like this? Oh, okay, that's much cleaner. That seems like that would be a nice tool to have to at least give us data to make decisions around. But that might be overkill to write that now. At this stage, I was just wondering if it was available. It sounds like the answer is no.
Not that I'm aware of anyway. It would be cool though.
Well, by GitLab team, as far as I understand, we're going to use the Packer tool from Shopify, I believe, which does that. I think it's called. Oops, sorry, I was trying to Google it. Packwerk. Yeah, it's called Packwerk. I think there should be a showcase of it. Yeah, it can draw a graph of dependencies. And I think it has also Rubicop rules to prevent like getting into the other like domains. Yeah, I thought I saw a showcase image somewhere. But based on my experience, Packet is really bad. I'm not sure why GitLab actually decided to go with it because Packwork is good, but it introduces so many code duplications and it's really hard to work with. It goes against the Rails conventions. And once you use in your project, any change will be really hard to apply because I know engineers on Shopify and they are not happy with Packwork at all. So that's why I propose to do something like to do a simple version. We could use like some kind of a ERD gem to if we need to draw like dependencies between domains. But I feel like these like gross interactions between domains should be up to a team member. Once everyone gets familiar with domains and how to work with them, such tooling could be like redundant or something. I mean, like, why Rails is so good? Because it has like conventions, our configuration. When a new team member joins Rails projects, because of that rule, this team member knows where like the model allocated, where is the services, how we work, how we interact, and so on. I think actually your gem can draw dependencies between entities. And I think it should be relatively easy to adapt it to draw like dependencies between models. Like in the end, we can take the Prism parser and write our own thing if we think we need it really.
Yeah, we're using this gem to build out our ERD for models right now, right? It's pretty large and hard to see, but it is created like we do it anytime we make updates to the database schema.
Yeah, we can take a Prism Ruby parser and write our own thing if we want. But that's a different story for now, I think.
What Jerome was suggesting about having a marketing and sales breakdown, does that make sense? So sales would be more of, I guess, the Marketo would go into marketing, and Salesforce would go into sales, that type of breakdown. And
Yeah,
licensing and provisioning combined, is that the I mean, I could see why we would want to do that. Let me look to see what we have in licensing now.
I could make
I guess one thing with marketing is are we okay with having these layers being small? Like I imagine marketing. I'm just guessing though it may not be the case, but we may have like three services, and then we take provisioning, and we have 50. So are we okay with that separation, or should we think about this a bit more, and maybe remove marketing and just use sales or something like that? I don't know if that is a problem or not, but just wanted to raise it just in case we have one of these domains and it's really tiny. Does it make really sense to have that separation there?
yeah, that probably be a good idea because we even could like keep Workato, sorry, Workato as a like into as their own domain, but just or put it like into or expose it as an adapter, and like you would have like marketing domain which exposes a API that everyone can use, but implementation is hidden. It could be like Workato or any other kind of system, and it doesn't matter actually what. Like you don't need to know the implementation details. You just have this API, you use it, and you are happy. And we can like swap implementations or do whatever we want with the underlying implementation. And it's like relying on the stable API even inside of our own application.
So I know we're at time. I'm not sure what the takeaways here are. I mean, obviously we want to get more input from across the team so we can see if there's more input from other team members, especially since there's lots of people away right now. But I think it was a good conversation to bring up, and we'll see. Others might watch this video and be inspired to think of some other domains that they would offer as well.
I think there's room for making some like grand sweeping pronouncements about how we want to set up subscriptions and licensing kind of going forward. That there's other efforts like okay, talk about like the future provisioning of okay, do we want to align to order the way cells and organizations do things? Okay, if we want to do that, what does that say about how we want to organize the domains here? And do we want to start down that, or do we want to say, okay, we're going to put everything in a provision domain with a big asterisk on it that says, oh, hey, there's this other project. And once we make some decisions over there, then we will take those results and bring them over to this. And potentially, well, not just potentially, definitely move things again, but only within their domain.
That's true. I mean, it's a good reminder that we can iterate on this. Even though we move something into a domain, doesn't mean we can't refine it later.
Yeah, I was thinking mostly in terms of just reminding ourselves that this is the thing that we intend to do, and then kind of asking the question of, well, do we want to put this on pause or accelerate those other problems so that we at least have the answers first, or just leave ourselves a note that, oh hey, by the way, this is going to change and here's why.
Yep. Perhaps there's like a couple of domains that we've identified. They're like slam dunk make sense. Let's do it. And then others that have more debate and we're a little more cautious about introducing it. I could see it going lots of ways. Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts? All right. Thanks, Fiddly, for bringing it for this week, the topic, and we'll do it again next week. Thanks, everybody.